History is packed with stories of women who have taken lives. In this video, I'll be recounting the tales of some of the most infamous female serial killers in history. Be warned, some of these stories are not for the faint of heart. Giulia Tofana. Giulia Tofana was an Italian professional poisoner said to have killed 600 men in the 17th century. She did not kill them herself, but by providing the women who were in abusive marriages and wanted to kill their husbands, with her signature concoction known as acqua tofana, a slow-acting poison with no color or taste, with effects that could easily be mistaken for other illnesses. Tofana was able to murder hundreds of men over the course of nearly 50 years without being caught, until 1950, when a woman served her husband a bowl of soup mixed with poison. Before her husband could eat, the woman begged him not to. This raised his suspicions and he abused her until she confessed to poisoning the food. This led to exposing Tofana. In 1659, Tofana, her daughter and her 3 assistants were executed. Amelia, Elizabeth Dyer. Amelia Dyer is believed to be an English serial killer who have murdered infants in her care by strangling them and dumping them in the river. Dyer first trained as a nurse, and by the 1860s, became a baby farmer. Baby farming was a term, used in late Victorian Britain to describe the practice of accepting custody and taking in of an infant or child for payment. Most babies left in Amelia Dyer's care were murdered within days, or in some cases within hours, said P.C. Colin Boyes, curator of the Thames Valley Police Museum, which houses an exhibition about her crimes. In 1879 she was sentenced to 6 months of hard labor after doctors became suspicious over the number of deaths certified in her care. In March 1896, a package was retrieved from the Thames at Reading by a bargeman. The package contained the body of a baby girl. The package had a name and address on it, which traced back to Amelia. On the 4th of April, Amelia Dyer was arrested and charged with murder. And during April, the Thames was dredged and 6 more bodies were discovered. On June 10, 1896, Amelia Dyer was executed for her crimes. Leonora Chonchuli. Leonora Chonchuli, also known as the soapmaker of Correggio, was an Italian serial killer infamous for turning her victims' bodies into soaps and tea cakes. She murdered 3 women in Correggio between 1939 and 1940 in Italy. All that begun when she was married, and got pregnant 17 times. Of those 17 times, 3 of the pregnancies were lost due to miscarriages, and 10 of the children died in their youth. She was extremely protective of her 4 surviving children and grew dangerously superstitious. Leonarda went to a fortune teller who predicted that the rest of her remaining 4 children would also die in their youth, and she could prevent that through human sacrifice. In 1939, when her son told her that he was going to join the military, she decided that she had to follow the advice of the fortune teller, and she begun luring women to her shop and killing them. Leonarda was arrested and tried in 1946. Found guilty of murdering the women, and she was sentenced to 30 years in prison, and 3 years in a criminal asylum. Delfina and Maria de Jesus Gonzalez. In the 1950s and 60s, Delfina and Maria Gonzalez Valenzuela ran a brothel called Rancho El Angel in the state of Guanajuato, north of Mexico City. They were said to have recruited young women through advertisements for a housekeeper and then forced them into prostitution. If the women rebelled or became ill, lost their looks or stopped pleasing the customers, the sisters starved, beat, and killed them. In 1964, the 2 sisters were convicted of having killed at least 90 of their victims and sentenced to 40 years imprisonment. Myra Hindley. Myra Hindley was an English serial killer. Myra and her partner Ian Brady were the killers behind the Moors murders, that happened between July 1963 and October 1965 in Manchester. The evil duo have murdered 5 children. In 1965, Hindley's brother-in-law contacted the police and stated that he had witnessed Brady killing 17-year-old boy with an axe. When police arrived at Hindley and Brady's home, they found the body of the boy in a plastic bag. The police also found enough evidence that link Myra and Ian to the murders: a suitcase in a railway station containing photographs and the audio recording documenting one of the victims' torture, and also found a notebook. Myra stood trial in 1966 and pled not guilty to 3 of the 5 murders. She was found guilty of 2 murders, and she sentenced to life imprisonment. She died in 2002 after suffering with heart disease. We reached the end of this video. These were the most heartless, infamous serial killers. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.